Hello and welcome to a view from the South Stand. It's just finished. Liverpool 1, Spurs 1 at Anfield. Was it a point gained? Was it 2 points dropped? Let's find out. Let me bring out the guest today. The first one on tonight is Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. You?
I am good. Let's get into this game.
Let's go.
So, obviously, the only change this week was obviously Kulu for Lucas Moura.
Yeah.
What did you make of the formation? And was you expecting a 3-5-2 or was you expecting 3-4-3?
I was probably expecting more of like a back five. To be honest, I'm surprised. Obviously, our width we get our width from playing the three up top anyway. Well, the wingers in Son and Kula, we get a little bit of width from them anyway. But we almost we knew that we was going to be under the cosh, which we obviously was for pretty much 95 minutes of the game. So I think he went probably more defensive than usual. Probably telling our wing backs not to push on that much, even though there was obviously stages of the game where we could catch him on the counter, which we did on a couple of times, which obviously then your wing backs come forward. But I think for the majority of the game, he probably knew that we was going to be under pressure and probably played more of a flat back five rather than like a back three. But no, I thought that defensively we were probably the most solid we've been all season. I'd say, especially with when you put under the cosh and under pressure a lot from a Liverpool team like they put out today. I thought defensively we've probably the best performance we've played all season.
Do you feel like we frustrated Liverpool a bit, especially the Mane and Salah? They didn't get into the game as much. Do you think we proper did a job on them today?
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah. So as I said, obviously they're better players. They're attacking players. We're going to see a lot of the ball anyway, which is obviously why they had a lot of possession as well. But I've always said possession's a pointless stat unless you do something with it. Because at the end of the day, if we would have won that game, the possession stat would have been probably 80-20 to them. But at the end of the day, if you don't do anything with it, then it's pointless. So yeah, I think that they had a lot of the ball, but we did frustrate them a lot. And to be honest, from what I saw, they didn't really have that many clear-cut chances.
Yeah.
To be honest. You got to think the only one I said to my dad at half time, I said defensively we've looked solid, but I said I think that if we do concede, it will be a defensive error, which is typical Tottenham. You defend so well 45 minutes and then you probably give away like an own goal or a slip or something, or it will be something like a deflection or like a really really shit goal to concede, which it ended up being. But no, I thought yeah, we definitely frustrated their front line. As I said, even though it might look like they had a lot of the ball and a lot of possession, they didn't really do much with it.
And let's look at our goal first before we start talking more about the defensive display today. Obviously, the goal came from Harry Kane and Cess on the left. Did you feel like if we were going to get a goal today, it was going to come from the left because of how much space Sessegnon had all game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have come from either side, to be honest, because how Liverpool play is that they play with a back four, but their wing backs push so far forward, they almost leave their two centre halves stranded essentially, and we're so good on the counter attack that it's playing into our hands. And I think down both sides, and we had a lot of creativity and a lot of chances that came from both sides. Obviously, the goal come from the left, but. Yeah, I think because, as I said, because their wing backs push so far forward and basically play as wingers, along with the two wingers that they have anyway, almost all the time, whenever you catch them on the break, you're always going to have 3v2 against them because their wing backs are pushed so far forward. But yeah, I feel like we got down the left well, we got down the right well as well, to be honest.
And just looking at looking at their goal now, do you feel like when you defend that deep, you are most likely sometimes will concede deflection like we did?
Well, yeah, obviously, but at the end of the day, we've been known even since the Poch days that the way we play is to play on the counter attack. You play to your strengths, and our strengths is getting the ball forward to our front three. That's what we've been playing since, as I said, since Poch days. But obviously, they were knocking on the door. Yes, they didn't have any clear-cut chances, but as I've said, but possession-wise, they were knocking on the door. You knew that they were going to get close, and it just happened to be a really shit goal to concede because it has to deflect. I mean, there's nothing Bentancur can do. You're going to have a go at him if you don't close him down. He's shot and he's hit his foot and gone in. It's one of them. It's really frustrating. Really frustrating. But look, I see it more as a point gained than two dropped, to be honest.
Do you feel like we could have got Son more in the game? I felt like, obviously, we were talking about the left-hand side earlier, and a lot was going to Cess. Do you feel like we could have more got Son in the game, or do you feel like actually the way the game plan worked, it worked well?
I thought the game plan worked out well. I thought, obviously, our front three didn't really see that much of the ball, but when they did see the ball, they done something with it. Kane was pretty much non-existent the whole game, but when he did get the ball, he made something happen, which is what he's done, to be honest, most of the season when we was all criticising him and all that stuff. He would be in and out of the game.
From the last couple of games.
Well, no, I'm saying more so before, when he weren't ringing and he weren't scoring, but he was still assisting. You know what I mean? That's just the way he plays. Similar to Son as well, wasn't really in the game that much, but, you know, he scored the goal. Kulu, the same. Like, whenever we was on the counter-attack, it mainly come through him. So yeah, we could have got him into the game more, but we were sitting so far back. It's difficult then. But as I said, them three players are always going to be at the forefront of our attacks, especially on the counter.
I'm going to whisper his name, Royale. What did you make of him today?
He was good. I said all the back 4, 5, 3, however you look at it, played well today. And even I've said I hate him. I think he's pony, but today he done really well. I'm not that fickle of a fan. If I hate a player or I don't think they're good enough, if they have a good game, I'm going to say they've had a good game. And it was clear to see that he did have a good game today. He was quite solid defensively. He was quite solid. There was a couple of chances like going forward where he caught him on the counter where his final delivery, we're just crying out for somebody that can deliver a ball. Like, do you
not think his ball to Kane for a goal just sums up what he's like going forward?
It was more like one of them. Like you see drunk 40-year-old Dave in the park like kick the ball like that, don't you? Like,
yeah, but
you know what I mean, he kind of just flung his leg at it, and it somehow just stayed in the air long enough that it come down to Kane. But no, let's be real. He was solid today. Just that final product just we need to either, I don't know, just put him through a very solid training sessions of crossing the ball, or just buy somebody who can cross. But yeah, no, he did have a solid game. I'll give it to him.
And do you think, right, looking at today's game, if we're looking at today's game, if we look at, you know, Davis, Dyer, Romero, and Lloris, now they've had pretty much a solid run all the way through. And are we now seeing the benefits of what that can do when you've got, you know, 4 players who know each other's game in the last couple of weeks, and actually seeing a performance as we saw today defensively? You know, we'll see the benefits of this.
Yeah, of course you see the benefits of it. You only see, especially the worst thing to do with switching and changing your team so often is changing your defense, because that's probably the most important position on the pitch. Out of the 4 positions, you can look like goalie, defense, midfield, attack. Defense is probably the most important where you want it to gel, and it's also the one which rotates the most in most teams. They usually rotate their defense a lot. But if you've got, as I said, if you've got a back 3, back 5, back 4, however you play, that are playing majority of week in, week out, barring injuries, then yeah, obviously they're going to know how to play with each other. That's just part of gelling and playing with the same players that are by your side.
Let's look towards Thursday. And obviously the big game coming up now. Obviously we've got no choice but to win.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a victory on Thursday? Or
yeah, I've always said that it's so hard to predict a North London derby. You can't. Whatever team wakes up in the morning and wants it more wins it. Like we could lose 5 games on the trot, but play Arsenal, wake up and want it more and beat them. You know what I mean? But I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? I'm obviously going to say yes, we'll win, but it'll be a tight game. But I think the most important one is tomorrow's Leeds Arsenal game, because even if Leeds get a point tomorrow, Arsenal go 2 clear of us. We play them on Thursday, we beat them, we go 1 point clear of them, and with their remaining fixtures being Newcastle and Everton, obviously Newcastle are safe now, but Everton are still in a relegation battle. And we've got Burnley at home, which, yeah, they're in a relegation battle, but I'd like to think we'll beat Burnley at home. And then we've got Norwich on the last game of the season, who are already down. So I think if Leeds sort us out tomorrow, obviously if they win, fantastic, it's the better situation. But even if they draw tomorrow and we beat Arsenal on Thursday, I think come Thursday, I will say top 4 is ours. But I think it's important that Leeds do us a favour tomorrow. Win, fantastic, even better. But I do think they'll draw tomorrow with Arsenal, because I do think Arsenal's bottle will go. But I've always said as well, being a Tottenham fan, you know what's going to happen. We'll end up being two or 3 points clear of Arsenal after Thursday, and we'll end up losing or dropping points to Burnley and Norwich. Because nobody saw this happening. Like us, majority of people probably thought, oh yeah, we might lose tonight. I did as well. I thought that. But no, we went and got a point. Difficult place to go. We went and get a point. We'll go and beat Arsenal. And then we'll go and throw it away against the relegation battling team. And the team's already relegated. That's just the joys of being a Tottenham fan. But no, I do think Thursday's game is vitally important. But I think tomorrow's game is just as important. Hoping Leeds do us a favour.
So do you see today as a point gained or 2 points dropped after watching the game?
Well, but before, you say after watching the game, yeah, you look at it, probably 2 points dropped because we had the better chance. We hit the post, Højbjerg at the end, I don't know what he was doing, caught in 2 minds. Do you know, we had the better clear-cut chances. After the game, yes, you look at it, 2 points dropped, but I still think it is 1 point gained because going to Liverpool away, not many teams even, I mean, some of the stats that they were reading at BT Sport about Liverpool's home, like we ain't won there in 10 years, is it, or 10 games or something?
It's definitely over 10 years now.
And even something like Van Dijk's never lost a home Premier League game. He's played like 60 games.
Madness,
so I do think it is a point gained. It is because majority of Tottenham fans, I do think, weren't confident about going there and getting a point or even getting 3. So, yeah, it's easy to say after the game how it panned out. Yeah, 2 points dropped. But before the game, we would have bitten your hand off for a point. So I'd say more of a point gained.
And before I let you go, tough one today. Who's your man of the match?
Man of the match for me is either, believe it or not, Emerson or Davis, because Davis put in a couple of very, very solid blocks today. Yeah. Especially with how Salah plays as well. He comes in on the right, kind of cuts in on his left, and 9 times out of 10 hits the back of the net or makes the goalie work. But I'll split it 50-50, Emerson and Davis.
Matt, thank you for your time today.
No,
as always, finish on with my guest. Come on, you Spurs.
Up the Spurs, come on.
And my next guest tonight, and you all know him, it's Hass. Hass, how you doing?
Do you know what? Relieved is the word. Relieved to put that match out of the way because, do you know what? I was fearing the worst before that game, honestly.
I think everybody was.
I'm relieved, yeah, 100%.
So, obviously, Kulu was the only change today. Was you expecting a 3-4-3 or was you expecting a 3-5-2?
I was just expecting him to stick with the same formation today, I think. Yeah. But yeah, it's slightly surprising. But I think I thought he might have tweaked it a little bit for Liverpool. Slightly more pragmatic, slightly more sort of playing more defensive role. Obviously to help out Emerson at right back because I can't be the only one who thought Emerson was going to get roasted today. Whoever played on that left wing happened to be Diaz today. Don't get me wrong, Diaz he's an incredible player. We have to admit it. But I have to give props where it's due. He held his own. And also I've got to give credit to Kulusevski as well because he helped him out. You know, there's no two ways about it. You know, he stuck to his job. They doubled up on him. And, you know, it was only for a deflected goal in the second half that he got a chance. So, yeah, I think it's a good day in the office.
In that first half,
anyway.
Do you feel like we frustrated Liverpool in that first half? And we kind of got the crowd quiet?
Yeah, do you know what? They were proper up for it in the beginning. It was like a cauldron to begin with. You know, you'll never walk alone. And then, the crowd just pumped up. And the first 10, 15 minutes, they were just up for it, closing us down. But you know what? We did frustrate them. We defended well. A couple of ropey moments with Romero. You know, I've been singing Romero's praises for God knows how long now. And today he was sort of having a bit of a ropey one today because a couple of misplaced passes here and there. But I have to say, we did keep them quiet and the plan worked. You know, we frustrated them. You know, we kept ourselves in the game. That was the most important thing, was to keep ourselves in the game and try and get that goal at some point. And might I just add as well, also, I never want to hear Hoddle commentating on another Tottenham game. Seriously.
I've heard a lot of this.
The man does not have anything nice to say about Tottenham, and I am sick and tired of it. Honestly, sick and tired of it.
Do you think? Let's quickly talk about that. Do you think Hoddle is frustrated as most fans are about the team and everything like that, and that's why the negativity is coming across in his commentary? Because he never used to be like this, but he suddenly has become like this way in the last couple of years, and maybe after the whole Jose episode and everything like that. He's a fan as well. Do you think he's becoming a lot like the fans that are frustrated, and it's now becoming across on TV? And he's in that time of his life where he don't care no more.
Listen, if you're a fan through and through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't hear Jamie Carragher or anyone else slagging the team off, even when Liverpool going through the bad times.
Gary Neville? Gary Neville slags off Man United every week. And
but that's Gary Neville though. That's Gary Neville though. But what I'm saying is like, this is like every game. It's just like, you know, always like, we're this and we're that, and the opposition is. But anyway, you know, past that point now, it is what we expect from Hoddle these days. But you know, the guy's a legend. I'm not going to take that away from him. But it's just the commentating. He's just, we need to get someone else on there.
So let's get back to the game quickly, and let's talk about the goal that we scored. Did you feel like the left-hand side was where we were going to get the most joy today?
Listen, both channels, left and right, were open today because of the way Liverpool play. Both wing backs bomb on forward. Cess was in space. You had Emerson in space, and that was where we was going to expose them all day long. You know, had it been for a better end product from the wing backs, albeit the goal came from across from the wing back, but that was always how we was going to beat Liverpool on the counter, expose the wings on the flanks and everything else. And it was just I've got to say it was a good tactical battle between Conte and Klopp, and I think we held our own. We held our own against the machine, Liverpool. But I think it was down both flanks, to be honest with you, left and right, where you can see Conte's system. I think is perfectly set up to play against this Liverpool side with that 3-5-2. The wing backs can bomb on forward. You've got the three at the back. Had we had better quality wing backs who can attack a bit more, better in the final third of the pitch, who knows? We could have had a different result. But I'm just saying that's what Conte's done well to get what he can out of these wing backs, to be honest.
And just onto that, because I see a chat from Super Tottenham as well. Do you think, were you surprised to see Cess come off, or was it a case of actually Liverpool put the four up front and we just needed an extra aerial cover in Sanchez?
Yeah, I think I'll go with the fact that he was on a yellow as well.
Yeah.
He knew that Liverpool were going to just throw everything, the kitchen sink, at us to get that goal. On a yellow, we've got a thin squad as it is at the moment. Cess is our only left back. Emerson's our only right back at the moment. If he was to get a red, we've literally gone down to bare bones, and we'll have to use Sanchez in centre back and Davies at left back. So I think it was a tactical one, given the situation. Yeah, you'd have to say it's nothing more than that. I wouldn't look much more than that into it, to be honest with you. Cess didn't have the worst game. He didn't have the best game either. He was just, he held his own. So, yeah, I think it was just purely to protect him. We've got, I think, 15 fit squad members. So, we've got to just see it out for the next 3 games now.
And let's talk about the man on the right-hand side, as Bob pointed out earlier, Emerson Royale. were you surprised with his performance today, or was it a case of he played against City twice at right back, and he played obviously at Liverpool in the home game at right back, and there was nothing he done wrong in those games. So was you expecting that kind of performance from him today?
I'm starting to think Emerson's sort of a big game player now, to be honest. He seems to turn up for the games inside. Somewhat as surprised as anyone else, to be honest, to see Emerson put in that performance today. And he obviously knew the importance of this game today. We're at last hurdle now in the season, and for him, if he puts in another shift like this next week against Arsenal and the last two games, then I'll be happy. But I didn't expect it. I've got to give him credit where it's due, because he played well. Kulusevski obviously helped him out. Conte obviously realised his limitations at that right back spot, put Kulu in there, and it helped him out massively. So you've got to give him props, because he was the one who started it all off for that goal. With the crossfield ball for Harry.
Kind of crossfield ball, but
kind of crossfield. But the lad put his head up and he found Harry. He took a chance, and Harry did the rest from there. Passed the ball over to Cess. So you've got to give him credit where it's due. We can't keep slagging them off every week. He's had a good game, but now he's got to sort of, he's got to continue week in, week out. So, yeah.
And the back three, Davis, Dyer, Romero, and I'm going to include Lloris. We're not conceding many goals. And obviously, seeing the way they play today, are we starting to see the benefits of what happens when you play a consistent back line?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they've been consistently playing together for the last 7-8 games, maybe 9 games, even more, maybe.
Well, yeah, even more than that.
Even more than that, maybe. So I think with any team, with any sort of formation, I think consistency with team selection is key. Whether they're going to be together next season, that's another story. But I think it is key that they play together. Obviously, they're going to have to now. Last 3 games of the season, barring any injury, it will be that free to play at the back. I've got to say, Davies has done well since he's been there. I've not been his biggest fan, to be honest. Last few seasons, even when he played at left back, but centre back, he seems to have sort of played all right. Under Conte's system, I would say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it remains to be seen. Next season, we might have a different back three with obviously Romero in there as well. But I can't fault Davies. Sorry, he played well today as well. Deserved his man of the match.
And let's look towards Thursday. Are you quietly confident, or are you going, it's a North London derby, you just don't know what to expect?
We're going to do the business, baby. We're going to do the business on Thursday. Listen, I'm going to be nothing but optimistic until the end of the season now, honestly.
Yeah.
You've got to think, right? Thursday, it's going to be a cauldron on Thursday. It is literally, we're playing at home. We've got the home advantage. We've got the fans on side. North London derby is massive anyway, all right? Whether there's something on it or there isn't. But the fact that there's something on the end of it, we are going to have to make that, that stadium's got to be rocking on Thursday. And I think we're going to do the business on Thursday. I can't, Arsenal's been somewhat lucky with their last few games, all right?
Yep.
With teams obviously swapping and changing the team, playing for other things, like West Ham dropped a few players to concentrate on the Europa League. They've played They've played well against, obviously, United and Chelsea. Chelsea obviously dropped a few players as well to concentrate on Europe. So they've been lucky in that sense that they've played teams where they've had to rest their players and stuff. But I honestly think we've got a better team than Arsenal and more experience where it counts. And I think we'll do the business on Thursday. It has to be nothing but a win. Nothing but a win on Thursday. And tomorrow's game against Leeds is not a gimme either, you know, because Leeds have to win tomorrow. Leeds have to win tomorrow. Yeah. No doubt about it.
Do you feel like what? Let me ask you this question. Say Leeds draw tomorrow. Yeah, and it's it's in both our hands, and North London derby ends up a draw. Okay. 2 games left of the season. Can we still make fourth?
Depends. It really depends because depends on where Burnley are by the time we play them. Will they be safe by the time we play them? Will Everton be safe by the time? Well, exactly.
Yeah. So
look, listen. I've got to give a shout out to Bob Spur as well.
I always got to give a shout out to Bob Spur.
I've got to agree with this comment as well.
Yeah.
We've guaranteed top 5, right? Let's look back to the point where just before Nuno was sacked, right? Fearing the worst. Could you have ever imagined that we'd finish 5th at that point?
No, totally agree.
I did not think we would finish in 5th position, let alone fighting for a top 4 spot, honestly. So you've got to count it. You've got to count it as a successful season. Based on where we was before Nuno got the sack, it's a successful season. Obviously, now with top 4, with us battling it out with Arsenal for top 4, it means a lot more. Yeah. It means a lot more. There's no two ways about it because it's Arsenal, because it's our rivals. So, yes, in my opinion, finishing 5th, brilliant. Where we was at the halfway point of the season, fantastic. But now, the cream, cream of the crop would be to finish above them, top 4. That will just put the cherry on the cake for me. No two ways about it.
If I said to you right now, we lose to Arsenal on Thursday, but we make top 4, or we beat Arsenal on Thursday, but we finish 5th, which one would you take? Considering what you just said about us finishing 5th, which one would you take at this precise moment?
Considering how much they want to be in the Champions League, I'd take that 4th spot all day long. Yeah, I would take that 4th because they will be crying if they don't get that top 4 spot. Crying. This season is the closest they've been to that top 4 spot in God knows how long. Okay.
Yeah.
It pains me to say it, okay, that I would jack in the North London derby for it, but I really would because Arsenal, they will be crying if they don't get that top 4 spot. So, to answer your question, I'd have that top 4 spot all day long. All day long. I don't know. If anyone's in the comments, let me know. Do you agree, disagree?
And the last question of all, who is your man of the match today?
Look, I wish I could split it between the two. The wing backs, I'm saying wing backs, but Davies and Emerson both put in a good shift today. So if I could split it between the two, it would be those two. Maybe Davies at a push because, to have held your own against that front three, Salah, Mane, Diaz. He was on a yellow as well, I believe, at one point. I think the guy, he's, tonight he was good. You got to give him credit for what he's done tonight, and I think he deserves his man of the match award. But we can't discount Royale as well. He's had his critics. That's an understatement. But he's had his critics, and he put in his shift today. So I've got to salute both of them, if I'm being honest.
Haas,
But man of the match, Davies. If you want a man of the match, it's Davies.
Of course. Thank you for your time as usual. It's been an absolute pleasure. Make sure you follow him on Insta because he's got some great recipes for you people. Please follow this man on Insta. But as we always finish on, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs!
And my next guest tonight, you know from my previous streams, it is Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
Hello, mate. You good?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm a lot better after that performance, I can tell you that.
So let's get into it. So obviously it's finished 1-1. Kulu was the only change today. Was you expecting Conte to go with 3-5-2 like he did at home, or was you expecting the 3-4-3?
I think with Conte, you've got to always expect the 5 at the back, 3 centre halves. He ain't going to change from it. I did expect Kulusevski to come in as he did, because I think Mora wasted his opportunity last week. So I wasn't surprised Kulusevski came in. But yeah, Conte's never going to stray from a back 5 ever. But which it has hurt us, as I've said previously, it has hurt us in the last few games. But today, that was one of the best defensive performances I've seen from us, not just this season, but for a long time. Like, we've been really poor defensively for probably 2 years. Poch's last season and then into the Mourinho time, we haven't been great defensively. Today was unbelievable. They say strikers, goals, that wins you things, it gets you vital points. Our defence today won us a vital point. And there's no, I know we've obviously gone there, scored, and it's 1-1, but that defence today has earned us what could be a vital point, because there's no Spurs fan, there's no fan around the world that thought we were going to take anything from that game today. I didn't. I was hopeful, but that's about as far as it went. You know, if I think with my head, we weren't going to get nothing from that game, but the defence made sure that we got a point that I think in the end we were well worth that point, 100%.
And do you feel like we frustrated Liverpool in that first half? You know, there was the roar of Anfield and everything like that. But do you feel like we stuck to our job and we frustrated the crowd? And once the crowd started to go a bit quiet, we were able to get more into the game as well.
Definitely. I mean, you got to be realistic. Their front 5. You know, you could take Firmino out of that. You know, personally, I think if you look at the other 4, Diaz, Jota, Mane and Salah, them 4 players are used to having so much freedom, and they're used to everything. Almost players, not like moving aside for them, but they're used to getting their way with players when they come up against them. Today, I know Liverpool had a lot of the ball, but I don't think they got into many clinical positions. You know, like up the byline, crossing it in. They sort of Trent Alexander and Robertson were putting in crosses earlier than I think they probably would have wanted to.
Yeah. Because
our fullbacks, especially, out and then wide-backs, did their jobs properly. Yeah. Did everything that a wing-back should have done defensively. So I think we frustrated their... I know Jota wasn't on the whole game, but the 3 that started, Diaz, Salah and Mane, we frustrated them. And like you said, when the crowd sort of not got... frustrated with Liverpool, but got frustrated, I think, with the situation. Yeah, it created an opportunity for us to get forward, and I think just throughout the whole game, we got into some vital, but really, really good positions. That, you know, if our final touch or final pass was better, or it fell to say a Harry Kane in that position, or even a Son or a Kulusevski, that final ball would have been more quality. We could have scored at least another one, especially right at the very end when Pierre, I don't know why he decided to head the ball back across goal. he should be heading that at the goal. Yeah. If that's on Kane's head, that's going one place and that's in the net. So it was
Bergwijn was frustrated too that he kind of went for it.
It was things like that throughout the game, that it was just sometimes it was just the wrong player in the wrong place with the ball or without the ball that prevented us from getting another goal, I think. But yeah, you're right, 100%. When the crowd wasn't as loud as they normally are, the famous Anfield roar, whatever, the Kop end, when it wasn't going their way and the crowd was down, it definitely played into our hands, 100%.
And looking at our midfield too today, because not much has been said about them. How did you rate Bentancur and Højbjerg's performance today, considering they were up against a really solid Liverpool free midfield today?
Well, I know I said a minute ago you can't see Conte coming away from a back five, but I was a little bit worried that we were going to get overrun in midfield with them three midfielders they had: Fabinho, Henderson, and who was the other one? Was it Henderson, Fabinho, and who was the other one in midfield? There was three of them, wasn't there?
Yeah, there's three of them.
I can't think who it was now, but there was three of them in midfield.
That's how quiet they were.
It was Thiago. That was it.
Thiago.
I was really worried that they were going to overrun us in that midfield because their press is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought our press in the Poch era was good. Liverpool's press is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I was concerned, and Bentancur, I think, got better as the game went on.
Yeah.
But there was a few moments where he got caught on the ball and he felt he was still playing in Serie A, had a bit more time on the ball.
A bit like Romero, a little bit there. Yeah.
I was going to get onto him as well, but you don't get a millisecond more than what Liverpool want you to get. There's no second extra. And I was concerned at the start. I think Højbjerg had a solid game from start to end. But Bentancur, I think, grew into the game once he realised the opposition, because I think it's the first time he's he would have known what they're about, but it's the first time he's played against them. So he probably knew what was coming, but when you're actually, it's one thing knowing, and then another thing being in the game and in the occasion. And I think once he realised what they're all about, I think he knew what he had to do. He adapted, and he adapted well. He did, and we was pretty solid. It shows how solid we were from the midfield back. The fact that Liverpool took one of their midfielders off and put Jota on, and they had four out of their front five, their famous five, four of them on the pitch at once. So it proves the defensive job and the midfield job that we actually did in the end. The fact that Klopp had to resort to that. So there's so much credit that needs to go out to that team today. So much credit.
And do you feel like if we were going to get a goal today, and it did kind of, that we were going to get it from that left-hand side, considering how much space Ryan Sessegnon was always up there compared to what Real was, and I looking at it, it looked like it was the game plan.
It did, yeah. It looked like, to me, and I only really noticed it when the commentary mentioned it on BT, that they said that Ryan Sessegnon's starting position when we were attacking was really high up the pitch.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and it's like when we broke on a counter, it's like Sessegnon joined Kulusevski, Son and Kane and made that a front four, and then our defence just shifted across to make a back four in case we did get caught. So Davis moved over to left back, Dyer and Romero in the middle, and Emerson filled in at right back while Sessegnon was still up the pitch. That's what it looked like to me. But we were always going to get a goal on the counter today. We were never, ever going to... Well, it's not just us. There's no team in the Premier League, but we were never going to outplay Liverpool. We were only ever going to score today on the counter-attack. Our goal came from a counter-attack. All of our chances that we created and sort of should have done better with in most occasions came from counter-attacks. So it did actually surprise me how much space we were getting on that left-hand side. But then it's Trent's side, and Trent Alexander-Arnold's been known to not be the great. Although I think he actually defended quite well today, he's been known to not be the greatest defender in the world. Yeah. So it's like Conte knew that and played into it. And to be fair, it looked like it worked because, like you said, Sessegnon had so much space on that left-hand side, and Trent was always so far forward that it benefited us, and that's exactly where the goal came from.
And do you feel like in the first half an hour that Liverpool tried to attack Emerson Royal as much as they could, but didn't realise there was a rock behind him called Romero.
Well, this is the thing, mate. Honestly, before the game, I was shitting my pants because Royal, he's been criticised by Spurs, been criticised by me, been criticised by so many Spurs fans, and I was shitting my pants because our weakness, let's be honest, is our wing backs, defensively and offensively, and Liverpool's strength is their width.
Yep.
So I was shitting my pants, but then when the game went further into, like you said, maybe the first half hour, whenever they got in behind Emerson Royal, which, to be fair, wasn't that often.
No.
It wasn't that often, but when they did, Romero was there.
Yeah.
That guy, again, he did do a couple of things today that, could have turned into a goal or a chance. Yeah. He did. He does need to cut that out of his game. But he is unbelievable when it comes to reading football. It's like he can see something that it's like he can see the future, because whenever a ball comes into the box or someone plays it out wide for and a player to run onto and cross in, he's always in the right position every single time. His reading of the game as a defender is ridiculous. And he's still only young. He's still, what is he, 23, I think he is?
Yeah, 23.
He's still only young. We have got a serious player. If he can just cut out them little bits of little lapses in concentration that he has, if he can cut them out, we have got one hell of a defender on our hands. A defender that you build a defence around. But bigging up Romero, Dyer was immense today. Yeah. Nothing got through him. And Ben Davies, honestly, there was that in the second half. There was that one where it got played over to Salah, and he come in and he managed to get on it, because Sessegnon actually did all right, not showing Salah his left foot too often, cutting in. But Salah did get in on his left foot, and I was like, shit, they're in here. And that Salah, when he gets in on his left foot, it's gonna go on target, and he hit it. And Ben Davies, that slide, that block that he did. Yeah. That kind of defending is what, like I said earlier, that kind of defending is what wins you points, vital points, important points that can get you where you need to go. And as a defensive unit, you could big Romero up individually, but as a defensive unit, it was immense today. It was so good.
Top four, still on?
I get this question every time I come on here. Of course.
Look, we've confirmed our European place today, as Bob Spurs stated earlier. I've just put it back up.
Yeah.
So we've confirmed our Europa League place at least for next season as a minimum, because obviously Man United's result today, they can't even finish above us, and obviously drawing today, that just double confirms it. Okay. So we're going to finish at least fifth, but can we make top four? Mm-hmm. And are the way Chelsea playing, are they going to let us in?
I'll answer the first bit first. We can still get top four. Obviously, the table doesn't lie.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get it?
Before the game yesterday, we got our fixtures, Arsenal's fixtures. Yeah. In both sets of fixtures, 4 games, there's one banana skin for both, and ours was today, and Arsenal's is Newcastle away. That's not going to be easy for them. So that's their banana skin. We've got our banana skin out the way now, and we've managed to get a point from it.
Yeah.
So can we still do it? Yes. Are Arsenal still capable of dropping points? Yes. Are we still capable of dropping points? Yes. It would be typical Tottenham to take a point from Anfield, beat Arsenal, drop points in their last 2 games. It would be typical Spurs. We've been there before. How many times have we been there?
Of course,
and that kind of thing has happened. But then you look at Arsenal on the flip side. They lost them 3 games on the spin. 9 points that everyone thought they were going to take. They didn't. They took none. And then the next 3, 9 points they took from games they weren't meant to get any from.
Yeah. So Arsenal are probably in this position that we all expected them to be in, but just the wrong way around.
Yeah. You can't predict this. You can't predict anything. You can't predict the title race at the moment. The top 4. It's going to boil down. If Leeds can get a point tomorrow against Arsenal, which is a tough ask, but if they can get a point, we go into that North London derby 2 points behind them. If we can then pick up a victory in the North London derby, which I do think it's advantage us because we're at home. I know form goes out the window, but it's the first North London derby with fans, or a full stadium of fans.
Yeah, for me,
that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, for me, the official opening of the Tottenham Stadium will be Thursday because it's the first time a North London derby has had any fans in that stadium.
It's mad when you think about it.
Think about it like that. Yeah, we haven't seen a North. We've played so many games there in the last how many years, but we haven't had a crowd for a North London derby. So it will be interesting.
But that gives us the advantage. We got an advantage there, and it's that if we can take 3 points from that, we go a point ahead of them. And like I said, they've then got that banana skin against Newcastle. But a lot of people to me are saying, "Oh yeah, but you've got Burnley, you've lost them this season." Spurs against Burnley we're always not great when we go there, but then at home we always pump them. So it's really weird.
Only thing that worries me about Burnley is the kickoff time and BT Sport. We don't have a good record on BT Sport. I think we only beat Leeds and we got the last minute win against Leicester. But usually we got a point
against Liverpool on BT Sport tonight.
True.
Like it's you got to. You got to. Everyone's going to have to strap themselves in for a roller coaster because this only just started. The start of the roller coaster was us tonight, and then there's going to be so many loops and so many twists and turns. Still in 4 games, it's not going to be straight down. Like it's going to go to the wire. But quickly, Chelsea. I can't see Chelsea falling from furthest. They got to drop points in probably most of their games left. And we've got to take points, and so have Arsenal. But again, when it's still mathematically possible, it can still be done. Until it is ruled impossible mathematically, it's always on the table. But do I think it'll happen? Probably not. No, I think they'll still finish third.
And the last question of the night, as always, is your man of the match.
I'd love to give it to all 4 defenders, to be honest. But if I was to pick one out of them 4. Probably Ben Davis because he out of the 4. I know Dyer didn't put a foot wrong, but Romero put us under pressure a little bit, although he defended fantastically. Ben Davis didn't put a foot wrong all game, apart from maybe getting himself booked and putting a little bit of pressure on himself. He didn't put a foot wrong all game, and I've been critical of Davis before as well, but he seems to be thriving in that back 3, which is obviously where he plays for Wales. So, I don't know if he'll be a feature in that back 3 next season, but he's certainly making a case for him to be in there. So, why not? But for me, Ben Davis today, fantastic defending. That block alone wins him that man of the match. So important.
Ryan, thank you for your time today. And as always, and as we always finish on, come on, you Spurs.
Up the Spurs today, mate. I tell you, Thursday, you're going to need a heart rate monitor for me on Thursday. Because honestly, my heart is going to be through the roof. It's going to be
my watch already went off today, and I'm thinking, oh my God, Thursday's going to be 10 times worse.
Oh God, don't. Yeah. But up the Spurs, come on.
Up the Spurs. Thank you, Ryan. And the next guest, I'll bring him out. It's Justin. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, Marlon. Yourself?
I am very, very good. So, obviously, let's get into the game. Kulusevski was the only change today. Was you expecting a 3-4-3 or was you expecting a 3-5-2 today?
No, I very much expected. I expected Conte to, from what we've seen from every game he's gone into. I think he's trying to get these players to really sort of understand their roles, and I don't think he really wants to deviate too much from it. And it almost, I think as well, it kind of matched up to what Liverpool were doing. That's how they sort of set up as well with the so I wasn't too surprised, by it. And to be fair, it worked brilliantly particularly at the back. They were just fantastic. I mean, it's just so frustrating because there's been times where we've seen them them stink the place out at the back, but I think all of them was sensational. So I wasn't surprised. I think it would have been difficult for the players to try anything different. I think he's just trying to get the players that he wants to keep embedded into this formation, as if to sort of say to them, we are going to play 3-4-3, and it's not, we're not going to change. We're going to stick with this, and I want you players to get into it, and the players that stay, this is what it'll be next season. So it's just kind of, in a strange way, almost like an extended pre-season for some of these players. Okay, yes, there is a top 4 race to be had, but I think if we're being brutally honest, the only people who are sort of putting the pressure on for the top 4 might be the fans, because they like to have the top 4 football, but I think it's more the owners. I don't think Conte gives a monkeys if we get top 4. I think he's just more interested in getting these players buying into this system, so that then come next season, whoever's there, wherever he buys, really knows what we're doing going forward. So yeah, for me, I would have been more surprised if he'd have tried anything else, really, because I don't think the players would have understood it.
And looking at the way we played today in the first half, most of the second half, do you feel like we really frustrated Liverpool today?
Oh, do you know what? I must admit, I was talking about this on another show, and leading into the game, and I thought they're just going to tear Emerson to bits. I absolutely did, and I think
I saw you on one of the shows say that, and I came across it and went, he's got Romero backing him up. Why is he going to get?
Yeah, I know, and to be fair though, yes, we have got Romero backing him up, but in other games, you can kind of understand that that's okay. But when you're going up against a juggernaut in Liverpool, you're not really going to you're going to really struggle if you've got anybody and you're carrying passengers. But I couldn't fault him. He was sensational. I think all of them were. We very much just. It was almost as if as soon as it got at sort of near our box, all the players turned into beasts. They were fighting for the ball. There was, I think I saw one where Sessegnon was getting, the guy's, like 2'2", and yet he was jumping up and, getting in there, and you just saw it. It really did. The stats will say that Liverpool, dominated possession, but I think, to be fair, a draw was probably a fair result, really, and that is credit to our defence to be able to keep them quiet, not so much, sort of having to last ditch tackles and being pulled from pillar. They just kept them quiet, and even when Liverpool did get a sniff, Ben Davies throwing his body on the line, and then the deflection, and to be fair, I must admit, I sat there and thought, well, here we go, it's going to go horribly wrong and we're going to lose 2 or 3-1. But they just, even then, they sort of continued to frustrate to frustrate Liverpool, and again at Anfield, at the Kop, that they just knew their roles. That's one of the things. I was just watching it back on Match of the Day before sort of coming on here. Conte set them out with all jobs, and I think I don't think if you were trying to sit there and say, was there somebody who had a poor game? No, I don't think there was. I think from top to bottom, everybody knew exactly what they needed to do, and just were content with Liverpool having the ball and having possession and trying to get round. But as soon as they got anywhere near, it was like no chance. And as I say, credit to them. Even when it went 1-1, heads could have dropped, but they just kept going. It was as if nothing's changed. Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's keep our shape. Let's keep our discipline. If we can get a goal, yeah, okay. And we had a chance towards the end that we could have scored. But to be fair, they just kept the shape. As I say, they kept playing really well, really solid. And to be fair, they had Liverpool really sort of quite controlled, really. Which,
yeah,
for from a Spurs team, I can't really think the last time that Tottenham have put in such a defensive display. We've seen them attacking, how breathtaking the 3 of them up top can be, but the 4 at the back, would just, the 5 at the back, sorry, tell a lie, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know, they dealt with what Liverpool had to deal with, and this is one of the things that I just hope that we can continue to build on, regardless of what happens with top four. I think if we can build on this, then next year could just be even better. It really could. So, you know, the game plan worked perfectly, and you know, we really did frustrate Liverpool, which, as I said, I did not expect to see at all. So I was really, really pleased.
Quick question about the back three. Well, back three, back four. So we've obviously seen Romero, Dyer, and Davis and Lloris probably consistently play since probably the end of January, but maybe just a bit before that. Are we starting to now see the benefit of what happens when you do have a consistent team? Because it's not like when conceding many goals, it's more going forward where we're not scoring, even though we've been the best outscoring teams. It's about shots on target for us. So are we, basically the question is, because they've been playing so long together, that's why we can see a certain performance like we did today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing, though, to take into account is obviously when we were playing, when we had a consistency in terms of we were, you know, not just them, but you look at when we were playing Doherty, and at the time it was Reguilon because Sessegnon was injured. But, you know, there was a consistent back, you know, back five, back six, you know, if you're including the goalkeeper in that. So they kind of all got used to each other. And then obviously Doherty got injured, you know, and that sort of disrupted us for a couple of games, you know, the Brighton Brentford game. But now that we're seeing again a consistent run with Sessegnon, you know, we're now starting to see you know, Royal performances coming up, you know, and he, to be fair, has been consistent. I think a lot of people obviously worried about him, but
It's
the
probably,
last few
it's
games,
going forward, he's
he's
probably a bit suspect. But actually defensively, and this is where I had a lot of issue with a lot of people going that he shouldn't be playing. Defensively, he's actually not that bad, and he has. I've always said if Romero's meant to be as good as he's meant to be, as we saw today, even though actually Royal actually put in a good performance, we'll be all right on that side. My worry was always on the left because Davis is not going to be able to cover Cess as much. They did well today, don't get me wrong, but I believe Liverpool tried to attack Royal's side and realised halfway through they weren't going to get Joy down there, so they tried to put crosses in from Trent's side in the second half because that's where they were getting more space. So Royal, is not the best with the ball, but actually defensively, has he really been that bad for Spurs this season is the question.
I think, to be fair, in terms of, it's really difficult with Royal because what we've got to remember is, and I think this is where a lot of people lose sight of it, when he was signed for a different manager in a different system and a different setup. He was brought in as a left back, okay, which is a much more defensive role. It isn't a case of getting down there and putting crosses in and, you know, the attacking side. And so obviously when Conte came in, and we've seen how Conte plays, and you know, he expects more from his wing backs. Obviously, then it started to highlight the issues that we were having down that side. And okay, you know, we had Doherty who was then playing well and was getting used to it. And of course, then when he got injured, it was then down to Emerson to have to step up and do it. And obviously he got exposed. But I don't think he's a bad player. I think it's just difficult because you are asking a player to play a role that he wasn't brought in for. And that, I think, is where it kind of gets a little bit lost on some people, you know, when he has a bad performance, because they think, you know, I mean, I remember watching us against Watford away, and they were just giving him, this was before Kulusevski had joined, they were giving him the ball and just saying, yeah, it's fine, you can't cross, so it ain't going to be a problem.
And I think Arsenal were going to do the same on Thursday. I think they're going to try and give him the ball because obviously that's part of his game. He's not very good at, but it's how we control it as a team and get past that.
I think with
because
that,
Arsenal are not going to come and attack us, are they? On Thursday, let's go into Thursday now. We'll quickly go into Thursday and look at the Arsenal game and how you see it going. If depending on the result tomorrow for Arsenal, are they going to come and try and attack us on Thursday, or will they try and get a point?
I think it'd be very interesting because one of the things that we've seen with Tottenham is Tottenham under Conte aren't a team that are good at breaking teams down, as in being the aggressor in terms of going forward, attacking, being on the front foot. It's almost a case of he plays his best football when he's having to sit a little deeper and then hit teams on the counter, which Tottenham have done. They did under Mourinho and did under Nuno. I think that to me is possibly what Arsenal will do is they'll sit a bit deeper, because if they win on Sunday, which I don't see that they won't, because Leeds, although they're better under Jesse Marsch defensively, I just think that they might even go down. But to me, if they get that win, I think Arsenal don't need to win the game. They are going to be in the box seat for the top 4 because they'll be 4 points ahead. It will be Tottenham that will need to come forward. And that is obviously where the difficulty, I think, lies, in that Tottenham will need to be on the front foot, need to go forward. And I think Arsenal will just try and sit deep and hit us on the counter. And to be fair, they've got players who can do that. Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, all players with fantastic pace. And, and Nketiah is having a renaissance almost in the final weeks of his contract. So that's the only worry for me. I don't see Arsenal playing the same way, especially if they beat Leeds on Sunday. If they draw or lose to Leeds, that might be different, because I do think that they've got a tougher game coming up in Newcastle away. I think that is the game for Arsenal. If they win that game, I think it's curtains from there, because the way that Newcastle are playing is that they've just almost had a complete. It's not the team you would recognise under Steve Bruce, what we're seeing now. So it would be an achievement to go and win there. I know that we beat them 5-1, but I think at St James's Park, that would be a tough challenge. But this is where I think it really will test some of these players, because they're used to playing a certain way, but they're going to have to come out, be on that front foot, be aggressive, because Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you hope, is going to be absolutely rocking. Everybody knows how important this game is. How important it is to get the 3 points. So you just hope the home side, the home fans, are just going to make such a cauldron of noise and really get at Arsenal to hopefully put them under pressure. But we'll just have to wait and see on that one. I think it's going to be a really fascinating game, depending on how the result goes on Sunday.
Do you believe we'll make top 4? Yes or no?
If you just want a straight yes or no answer.
Yep, that's what I want.
I was going to try and explain my rationale, but I'm still going to stick with no, because
you've said from day one, you've said from January, I remember you've said Arsenal are going to get it. So I just wanted to see if your mind had changed.
No. To be fair, I just think for us to get top 4, if I was going to change my mind, today's result, if we'd have won, I think that would have changed my mind, because then the running of games changed, the complexity changes in terms of it. But no, even a draw, I mean, as fantastic as a result it is, I just think it was not. I mean, it was. You saw the commentators say it was a result that nobody wanted, but they got. Liverpool needed to win, Tottenham needed to win. A draw didn't suit anybody.
City could lose tomorrow, and Arsenal, and both teams looking at going, "Oh, we've done each other a favour here."
Well, I would love to know what the odds are on City and Arsenal losing, because I wouldn't hold the faith in that one.
I said it. Put a bet on. I told everyone last week Chelsea were going to lose to Everton. and I said the score was going to be 1-0 with Daigle, and no one believed us, and it happened. So I'm going to put it out there again. You've got a tip.
Do you actually believe City and Arsenal will lose? Because I will bet you a tenner right now that will not happen.
I'm not a better man. I just say things and they come true sometimes. So,
well, I love your optimism, but that would be amazing.
It would make, and as Paul says here, Leeds are fighting for, so Leeds need to get a result tomorrow, no matter what, because no matter Everton are playing tomorrow as well against Leicester. So if Everton get a positive result, it puts Leeds in trouble. So they have to go there tomorrow and get something. Now, if they win, they put Burnley back in trouble, which then means obviously for us next week, it kind of early kickoff and all that kind of thing kind of goes through my mind. But if Leeds don't win tomorrow and Everton get a result, Leeds are in trouble. And
do you know what? I get what you're saying with that. I just think if you were to sit there and you look at the three teams down at the bottom, Burnley, Everton, and Leeds, and you said to me you had to pick a defence that you wouldn't want.
It
would be Leeds. And this is the problem, because Leeds, I think they're fantastic going forward. Rafinha, Bamford, Harrison, players that I would love, and I hope that Tottenham will look at in the summer.
Do you think them three could get a Rob Holding tomorrow? Because Rob Holding's not been great. Yeah, he scored against West Ham, but West Ham didn't have Antonio. And if you look at the game against Chelsea, he was the weak link when he came on? He came on and he was the weak link. There's no Ben White. Gabriel is kind of holding that defense together. Rafinha, if that Harrison and Rafinha and his Bamford, I don't even know if Bamford's back yet, but if they kind of get at Arsenal tomorrow, do you not think it could happen?
There's always a chance. I mean, not being funny, at some of the results that we've seen. I mean, if you'd have turned around and told me today that Brighton were going to spank United, I would have said you're absolutely off your rocker. But to be fair, it's going to be an interesting one because it's really going to. I think it's going to boil down to how Leeds approach the game. If Leeds go out there all guns blazing, they could do, because I think as I just said earlier, I think Rafinha, I'd honestly, if he's available, Tottenham need to go all out and get him. He is fantastic. Harrison, I think, would be a good shout as well. Bamford as a second striker, if dependent on if he's fit or not. Those are three, and then obviously you've got Calvin Phillips in the middle as well. So they have got some brilliant players up top and in the middle, but that defence is just shocking. It really, really is. And to be fair, to credit to Jesse Marcy, he has sort of tightened things up a bit at the back, but I don't know. It's either going to be, let's put it this way, the game tomorrow is either going to be a dull, boring 2-0 or 1-0, or you're going to see a 5-4, 5-5, something stupid like that, where one team scores, the other team scores, and it just keeps going like that, really. It could either be a classic, or you may not need a cup of Horlicks to fall asleep with that one. So it will be interesting because, as you rightly said, they've got to get something from Arsenal. They really have.
Before we go, there's two interesting comments I just want, if I could get you to answer. So first of all is Fabinho. Should he have been booked or sent off today, considering the amount of fouls he'd done? And are you surprised that the forearm smash into Son's face wasn't looked at? Or would you have just said he deserved his booking and that's it?
I think the thing is, I think it's interesting because where it's so difficult, because I think if he hadn't have been booked, I think it'd have been looked at. I think the fact that he got the booking, I think that is when they looked at it and went, nah, because the thing is, it was, you could almost say similar with regards to the Kulusevski one. I think was in at Brighton, where I think it really, when it comes to the forearm and things like that, I think that's probably where the difference is. I think if it'd been the elbow and he'd caught him with the elbow and it's risen up further up to that sort of point, maybe. But I think the fact that he was just booked, I think VAR has looked at that and gone, but it's not. I don't think it was a clear and obvious red.
Yeah.
That's the thing for me. It wasn't something you would have looked at and gone, that is 100% a red card. And VAR's gone, no, you need to have another look at that. So I think if he'd not been booked, they may have done differently. I think the fact that he got the booking is probably in a way what made VAR look at it and go, yeah, I can't see it being much worse than that, if I'm honest.
And I'm really finding this comment really interesting from THFC14. If we look at the way we actually are playing, apart from the running stats, which we're now higher at, are we playing any better? Are we playing better football? And if Conte is backed, will the style change, or will it be exactly the same, but we'll just see better players playing it?
I think yes, because we've got to remember, when he came in, we were 8th, and now we're fighting for top 4. So he's getting a tune out of these players, and what we've got to remember is you've got to look at the signings that were made that weren't for him against the signings that were made that were for him. That level of quality, that level of sort of intelligent play that we get from like Kulusevski and what we're seeing in Bentancur. And we've also got to remember there's no number 10. We do not have, if you look at the players, every single player that we have that is consistently played for that team, there's nobody that is really any different. The only one you could possibly say is Moura. If you could potentially put him in a role where he is, sort of playing behind the striker. But even then, I don't know if that's you just trying something different, which would be such a gamble to do this close to the end of the season. I think my feeling is that come the summer, and I put a tweet out about 16 players that are out of contract that will cost that would fit the Tottenham squad. And if anybody wants to have a look at them and question me on them, I say, look on look on my Twitter. You'll see it on there. It will show all the players. I think
the Twitter's in the handle,
those are players.
people.
Even if, pardon.
Your Twitter's in the handle if they want to have a look.
So
make sure.
have a look at it, because I'd love to know what people think, because some of them wouldn't be first team, players coming in. Some would be squad players, but they'd be better than what we've got. And I think that's the key, because if you can bring in a lot of players for very little money, that is going to free up money elsewhere. And let's not forget, Romero's deal's got to be made permanent. Kulusevski's deal's got to be made permanent. So you're talking about 60-70 million pounds that's got to go before we've even started. So I think we are going to have...
That's already been offset somewhere else. So I don't think it's...
Do you know what? I'd love to... I would love to say that I agree with that, but I do think...
Well, we'll have to wait and see to the summer, won't we? Let's be honest.
Let's not forget the owners that we've got.
Yeah, of course.
They've done an amazing job with the stadium. They've done a fantastic job with the training ground. Got us Conte, but there's nothing that they've done in terms of football-wise on the pitch that wouldn't surprise me. And I wouldn't be surprised if I said we've had to budget because of the 70 million there. So yes, you would think any other club would have already offset that somewhere else, and that would have been taken care of. You have to hope as well that with the selling of Lo Celso and Carter Vickers, Winks, you look at some of the others that will go, that could cover that cost. So I do think that there is opportunity for Tottenham to spend well, and also have that plan B, because that's one of the things that Tottenham doesn't have. And that's not, I don't think, down to Conte. I just don't think that we have a squad that has that variety. We don't have that guy who has the trickery. We sort of have players that have set jobs. and they can do those jobs. But we don't have a guy you could just put in there like a Rafinha, like a Saint Maximan, someone like that who could just create magic out of nothing. So to me, I do think that with the business that Conte wants, and the other thing is when you listen to how Conte is talking, it's very, very clever. I love what Conte is saying because everything he talks about is the summer. We will discuss what's happening in the summer because that is putting the onus back on the club, because the club will not, if Conte walks, it will look like we're not ambitious, regardless of where we are. So I think it's very clever what Conte is doing, because the club will have to back him, because they will lose face if Conte leaves. I was hearing, reports that they're looking at Potter, but as much as I think he's done a wonderful job at Brighton, that would be a downgrade to what we have got, and it would almost take us back to the Pochettino era of playing wonderful football, bringing in the youngsters, but not winning anything. So I do think that the style that we're playing is probably more to try and stick with the players that we've got. But I also think as well, come the summer, we will see players come in that give different options that are available to Conte. And that, I think the summer, I might regret saying this, but should be exciting.
And can we get you a man of the match tonight?
Ben Davies. 100% Ben Davies. If you could give it to the whole of the back four, then I would give it to the whole back four. But the reason I give it to Ben Davies is because he was faultless throughout. And let's not forget, he had to go from playing in the three at the back to then playing on the wing as well. Okay. So, when you are set in a position and then you're having to change position, that can be tricky, especially when you're doing it against Liverpool. So I thought he was sensational. I really did. And I was really impressed. And as I say, the block against Salah, how? Because that, to me, that ball's going in top corner. That ball is, he's somehow, I almost had to double take because I thought he'd somehow got a Mr. Fantastic and his hands just looped all the way out just to try and stop that. But no, it was brilliant. So no, credit to him, man of the match, but not by much, because Emerson, Sanchez when he came on, it was all of them at the back did their jobs perfectly. But the reason I give it to Ben Davies is because of the block with regards to Salah and the fact that he had to change position and still did an excellent job. So yeah, Ben Davies, me 100%.
Justin, thank you for your time today. As always,
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And as I always finish on with my guest, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs for Thursday. Come on.
On the Hotspur Hood this week, there's no review tomorrow with Tommy Talks Sport, but there is Let's Talk Tottenham with Chris on Monday, so make sure you tune in for that. And obviously there's a game this week, so check the preview with Tommy Talks Sport as well at some point this week. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe for notifications to know when we're going live. And as always, come on, you Spurs.